Today we are talking everything crypto. So if you haven't heard, your buyers are now in a position where they are able to purchase property, really purchase real property, utilizing cryptocurrency. And, crypto is in some cases very foreign to people. And in some cases, a lot of people are very in tune with what cryptocurrency is. I will tell you that I am going to give you a very in-depth 30,000 foot flyby today. And by the end of this, you will understand enough about crypto to be able to feel comfortable talking with your clients. Okay. Before we get started though, I did put my contact in the chat. I also put a link to where all these Zoom recordings are hosted. So if you want to go back and see any past Zooms, you can see them there. And please subscribe to that for updates. So let me jump into this slide real quick and share my screen with everybody. Okay. That looks a little bit better. All right, so cryptocurrency and real estate, that's pretty much what we're going to cover today. And we're going to talk to why it's a safer alternative, the simplicity of it, real-time crypto payments, and what that looks like for your buyers. So let's kind of jump into it. What is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency, also known as crypto, it's a digital currency designed to work as a medium of exchange. Okay, there are many different types of cryptocurrencies out there. The four major types are utility coins, payment coins, security, and stable coins. And we're going to kind of talk through some of those. There are some others like DeFi tokens and NFTs, and you'll hear these, but that isn't what we are utilizing in regards to when it comes to purchasing real property. Okay, so today I want to talk to utility coins, payment coins, security, and stable coins. Okay. If you've never been to this site, this is, whoops, let me go back one. This is a site called coinmarketcap.com. Okay, if you go to CoinMarketCap, this is where you can see all the cryptocurrency coins in real time. Okay, so you'll see this was a snapshot of earlier this morning. There are currently 21,733 cryptocurrencies out there across 525 exchanges. The market cap of all the cryptocurrencies combined is almost $834 billion, with a 24-hour volume of a little over 84 billion. So we're not talking chump change here. This is basically a $1 trillion business. And if we looked at this 6 months ago, this was almost a $2 trillion business. Okay. So it's here to stay. It's not going away. And you're going to see more and more businesses and more things convert into utilization of crypto over the next 12 to 24 months in a big way. Currently, as we speak, there are all your major national banks across the country, across the world, globally, switching over to a company that utilizes a blockchain cryptocurrency to do cross-border transactions. What I mean by that is, if you've ever traveled and you've changed in currency of dollars to euros, that's a cross-border transaction, right? And usually there's some high fees involved with that, because the company or the bank that is doing that transaction for you has a volatility aspect that by the time physically they're able to get rid of the dollars, it could change in the value between the dollar and the euro, right? And now there's companies out there utilizing blockchain technology and crypto technology to do that within seconds at a much cheaper transaction rate. So that's currently behind the scenes happening already, okay? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Now, I want you to look at the top 10 cryptocurrencies currently on the market, right? Number one has always been Bitcoin. That's what everybody knows in layman's terms of cryptocurrency is Bitcoin, right? Number two has typically always been Ethereum. But then if you look through the top 10, you have Tether, which is a stable coin. It's basically tethered to the dollar. The USD coin, also tethered to the dollar, a stable coin. You have BNB, which is an exchange as well, but they have their own crypto coin. You have Binance USD, which is a stable coin tied to the US dollar. And that's why when you look at them, they're about $1, right? They're right at that dollar mark. Whoops. Then you have XRP. XRP is the coin and the blockchain being used for cross-border payments. Dogecoin, which was created as a meme, but many establishments utilize Dogecoin as a transactional coin. And then Cardano and Polygon, and those bottom four will move beyond, back and forth. The top six have been pretty much the top six for the last 12 months. But I want you to look at these because as we talk about transactions utilizing real property, they are only accepting the top 10 cryptocurrencies currently to do these transactions. And the reason why is the volatility of them and the amount of volume. If you look down this column right here, the amount of volume in 24 hours that is done across these coins is in the trillions for most of them in a 24-hour period. So the exchange that I'm going to introduce you to that is doing the transaction from the buyer's crypto to fiat dollars before it hits escrow is not going to hold on to that coin. They're going to exchange it to dollars and then they're going to sell it off in the market as quick as possible. Okay, so they only want to use the top 10 coins based on volatility and the amount of volume that they do in a 24-hour period. Now, here are the four things we're going to cover today. The opportunity for you guys in real estate, the challenges that it has foreseen over the last couple years as we've been trying to get to a point of utilizing crypto, the solutions that we have, and then the conclusions. So the opportunity, the buyer demographics are millennials, high net worth individuals, and international buyers. And when you look at the age group, when we normally talk real estate, we say, hey, what's your age group for buyers? And typically it's like late 20s to mid 40s. That's your biggest pool of buyers. When you look at who holds cryptocurrency though, it really, 6.4% of females and 13.3% of males 16 to 24 years of age. And when you look at the other aspect of the realm of 25 to 30 and then the 35 to 45 mark, it really goes from about mid-teens all the way to around 45 years of age. That's about 85% of the demographics who hold crypto. And put that in perspective is your buyers, that the age group that your buyers come into the market is gradually going to get younger and younger as utilization of crypto presents itself. Okay, because they were smart enough to buy into some of these cryptocurrencies and make some good return on their investments during it, that they're holding on to some of this now and they're spending it as they can, but now other things will present themselves, right? And that would be real property. When I say real property, that's homes, boats, planes, automobiles, right? They'll be able to transact those utilizing crypto. So again, who holds crypto? In a nearly $1 trillion market cap, roughly there's 100 million active consumer wallets. Think of these wallets as where they store their cryptocurrency, right? Like a bank account, right? A bank account's where we store our money. A wallet, it could be an online wallet, it could be an offline wallet, but a wallet is where an individual stores their cryptocurrency. There's roughly 100 million active consumer wallets. And that is expected to go to about $107 trillion by 2026. So they're expecting to go from 100 trillion market cap right now to 107 trillion by 2026. That's a massive, massive increase, right? So the global Crypto market currently as this morning is at 834 billion with a 24-hour volume of 84 billion. Price of Bitcoin's at 17,000, and Bitcoin's about 38% of the market. Okay. Where are these wallets being held? Well, you can see it globally. 28 million wallets in the United States, or North America, I should say. South America is 24 million. Europe, there's 38. Africa, 32. And in Asia, there's 160 million wallets. So it is a global thing. It's not just a local thing. And I want you to understand that, because a lot of crypto transactions currently taking place are from people that live out of the United States, purchasing within the United States. Again, you can kind of see that breakdown here, but I want you to see the ownership information. 58% are under the age of 34, okay? That is huge. 82% have bachelor's degrees or higher. 36% have an annual income of greater than 100,000, and 10% of all crypto holders, 10% of first-time home buyers in 2021 held crypto of some sort, okay? So as we get into this presentation a little deeper, I want you to kind of think in the back of your head, when you are qualifying a buyer, even before they go and sit with a lender, right? You're trying to qualify them to see if they're even capable of purchasing. Common questions are going to be, are you paying cash, or are you putting a down payment down? What that looks like, how much they have to put down, where those funds are coming from, things like that. Naturally, 401k comes into play because they can utilize that as a first-time home buyer. Well, now cryptocurrency should come into play. Okay, somehow somebody keeps muting me, so. Okay. So that should come into play now. MJ, can you hear me?
Yes, it was me. I'm sorry. I was trying to unmute to ask you about how the lenders are looking at holding that sort of asset, as long as it's, I guess you're about to tell us.
I'm going to get into that. Yep. I'm going to get into that right now. Okay, so the challenges over the last few years of trying to get this to a point where crypto can be utilized was, first and foremost, title and escrow needs fiat dollars to settle, right? We can't settle with crypto. So we needed dollars. And there was a huge hurdle to overcome because of the volatility of the market of transferring crypto to dollars and how long that took, and the amount of volatility of that particular coin, of how it could fluctuate in the short amount of time, right? So the risk to the buyers was that they needed real-time transactions to mitigate that volatility, right? You can see just in a 24-hour period, this was January of 2022 on January 21st, but you can see that from where, you know, it started in the morning to where it ended in the evening could be a huge fluctuation. So if the transaction of transferring and converting the crypto to dollars took a long time, and a buyer sent, say, $50,000 worth of crypto to be converted to dollars, by the time it got converted, it was only valued at 42,000. because it was worth 20% less, right? That just didn't work for a buyer. There was too much volatility there. So we had to really be able to overcome that. And finally, they've been able to do that. So settlement issues have been addressed. Title and escrow need fiat dollars to settle. We're there. All parties needed real-time transactions to mitigate volatility. We're finally there. And then the contingency removal is a big aspect, right? The lead time needed to complete KYC and AML. And I'm going to go through what those are. Okay. KYC and AML compliance is the compliance of what an escrow and a lender and a title company go through for that buyer, right? KYC means know your customer, know your client. So this is the mandatory process of identifying and verifying the client's identity when opening an account or periodically over time. In other words, when a buyer goes to get a loan, they need to verify that the buyer is who the buyer is, right? They can't just take your word for it. So you have to prove who you are. That's KYC compliant. AML, it's anti-money laundering compliance, okay? This includes traditional financial institutions as well as those entities identified in government regulations, such as money services, business, insurance companies, escrow, lending, etc. We have to, from a purchase perspective, know that there's seasoned funds there, that somebody didn't just put $1 million into a bank account this morning and want to go buy a house worth $1 million this afternoon, right? We have to know where the money's coming from and where it was sourced from, right? That's why you as agents have probably gotten to a situation where a lender said that money has to be in the bank for at least X amount of months or X amount of days. It's so that they can go through the AML compliancy and track the money to find out where it came from and how it got there, okay? Now we're able to do that with crypto as well, where there are multiple companies that can go into an individual blockchain and track when that money was deposited into their wallet and where it came from, okay? Whether it came from an exchange of another coin in another wallet and when, or if it came from their bank account and they bought some cryptocurrency and it was transferred into their wallet. They're able to track that all the way down to the second of knowing when and where it came from to be AML compliant, okay? That's very important. And these are some companies that they utilize to do that, okay? Chain analysis allows them to go into the blockchain. Sum and Substance allows them to do the KYC and AML compliance. They're a third-party company that goes in and tracks that. So now we have the compliancy of being able to track the funds. So we know that they are quote unquote seasoned, right? In 2019, 2.1% of all transfers were from illicit activity. Currently, at the end of 2021, only about 0.34% of transactions, and that has decreased into 2022, but wasn't able to find the exact number, only that it had decreased from that, were from illicit activity, from cryptocurrency related crime, okay? Now, that is substantially lower than competitive other financial transactions. So when you look at just wire fraud alone, it's much, much greater than that, okay? So it is extremely secure. So the solutions for connecting real estate and title escrow companies with crypto payment solutions. Our solution is a company called VersePay. I have no affiliation with VersePay whatsoever, outside that they do the conversion from crypto to dollars for us, and that it is able to be done within less than 3 seconds. They are owned by a company called ForumPay, which is one of the largest companies globally for cryptocurrency transactions. Okay, and here's how it works. It's a simpler, better, faster than traditional payment method. The buyer transfers funds using their wallet and the crypto of their choice, as long as it's in the top 10 listed cryptos. The buyer's funds are then converted to fiat dollars and wired to the escrow company. Funds settle to the escrow company at the end of the business day, who then closes the transaction in the usual way, okay? So there is a process that takes place before the money hits escrow. And that process is the compliance aspect, okay, of being AML and compliant, right? Now, that process can take up to 5 days. That process is good for 30 days. So your buyers can, if they know they're going to utilize crypto, before they even send the crypto, before they even find the house, they can fill out the paperwork with VersePay, which is done through escrow, and the escrow company has to be set up with VersePay, okay? And we're going to get to that as well. They can do that process of verifying those funds, knowing that it could take up to 5 days in advance. And they have 30 days to be able to transfer that money from crypto and convert it to dollars when it hits escrow, okay? So once they know, yes, I'm moving forward, we're putting in some offers, that's kind of when you want to start that process of getting them cleared, right? Getting those funds cleared. because again, that could take up to 5 days. And the last thing you want to do is prolong your contingency period because you're waiting on the background to be done, right? So you can do that in advance. So in conclusion, the reason to accept cryptocurrency, 12%. Over 1 in 10 first-time home buyers purchased real estate with crypto in 2021. Facts. $22 million condo in Southern California on the beach was purchased with crypto in 2021, and multiple multi-million-dollar properties were sold in 2022 in Southern California. We're not talking globally here, just in our market. Access to high net worth individuals around the world. Very high net individuals hold crypto, okay? 2021 and 2022 marks cryptocurrency as the fastest growing segment. This is a reason why you should be having these conversations with your buyers. Don't assume that your buyer doesn't own crypto because of their income, because of how much money dollar-wise they have saved in the bank. Perfect example. I had a transaction where one of my agents was out with a client. I had just told him that we now accept crypto. He had been out showing him 10 houses in one day. At the end of the day, they were having a general conversation, and somehow crypto came into the conversation, and it wasn't because the agent brought it up. Within 10 minutes of having a conversation with the buyer, he had him on the phone with me. I explained this process to the buyer. At the end of that conversation, instead of looking at $580,000 homes, which was all he could afford at the time because he had helped his daughter buy a house 13 months prior that he was on that title and loan on. His value of what he wanted to look at went from 550,000 to 1.8 million. This individual held, and I'm not going to say the amount, but I can tell you it is well into the multi-millions in crypto. Okay. But he didn't know what to do with it or that he could do anything with it. Because if he transferred it out to his bank account straight, he would lose a lot, right? So I'm not giving tax advice, but there are some tax savings. Talk to a good CPA that understands crypto. And, you know, don't assume that your buyers are not holding crypto, because the ones that you assume aren't probably are, okay? Embrace the new customers and grow your business. I have agents that are advertising that people can purchase a home using crypto, and they're getting responses from it. So the other thing is you eliminate chargebacks. And what I mean by that is once the buyer sends funds through VersePay, and VersePay converts it to dollars and sends it to escrow, there's no turning it back. You can't reverse that and have it go back to crypto. So it's either going to go to the buyer's bank account and he's going to get hit with the tax on it big time, or he's going to purchase a home with it, right? So you don't have to worry about that deal going south in most cases because the penalty is too great for it to go south, okay? And don't miss out on the crypto spending and increased revenue, because on a daily, more and more merchants are now accepting crypto alone, okay? So aside from crypto being an additional source to fund real estate purchases, it is in the seller's and agency's favor to process crypto transactions. Funds are automatically and instantly accumulated. They are converted and settled into the escrow bank account at the best available rate. Okay, so again, with the rate, when somebody transfers crypto from one crypto to another, from crypto to a wallet, or in this case, crypto converting to dollars going to escrow, there is what they call some fees. They call them gas fees. Usually these fees range from 3 to 12%. VersePay's fees are between 0.5% and 1% of the total being converted. That's extremely low. It is the lowest in the industry. And it's based on the amount of crypto that's being transferred. The more it's being transferred, the less it's going to be. The less it's being transferred, the more it's going to be. But it's going to range from 0.5% to 1%. Okay, that is extremely huge. And anybody you talk to that understands crypto will understand when you tell them 1%, they're like, oh, no problem. because they're used to every time they did something with crypto, it was a very, very high percentage to do it. It's kind of like when you use a credit card, the credit card company charges 3% to the merchant, right? It's kind of the same type of thing. There's a fee to do the process of converting it, but it is extremely low. So we do stand above the rest. Currently, California Title, the company that I work for, is the only title company in Southern California doing crypto transactions and fully insuring that transaction. Currently, Escrow Spectrum is one of 3 companies that is set up with VersePay. Total. Doesn't matter where, anywhere. Okay, set up with VersePay to be able to do crypto transactions. So if you have any questions, your buyers have any questions, you can always reach out to me direct. My number's right there. If you have questions in regards to escrow or that transaction, and or you need net sheets or what have you, reach directly out to Mary Jane as well. Her contact is right there. And with that, I'm going to open this up for questions. And usually I do get a handful, so I'd be shocked if I don't. But let's go ahead and open that up.
Hi, Tommy. That was great. I learned so much about crypto from you. I'm very grateful for that. Any comments on the meltdown on the crypto over the weekend, or?
I don't. You're going to see that.
I'm guessing that guy fell off the top 10, right?
In ways, you're going to see the volatility of crypto. Okay, you're going to have ups and downs in crypto. That's why I want to emphasize that when VersePay does this transaction, the way it works is this: they will send the data, which is a scan code for the buyer. They'll send it to him or her or them, and they have 10 minutes to be able to scan that code and make that transaction through VersePay. It expires in 10 minutes, okay? As soon as they hit send, within 3 seconds, it has already been converted to fiat dollars, okay? If the market shifts in that 3 seconds, and let's say that they're sending XRP, and XRP goes from 38 cents to 36 cents in that 3 seconds. And obviously, let's say they were sending $1 million, right? Obviously, when VersePay goes to do the transaction, it's only going to be worth, well, it's going to be worth less than $1 million, right? Because it dropped. VersePay takes the hit and takes that out of the gas fees. So that 1% charge that they're charging, it would come out of that. They're not going to go back to the buyer and be like, you need to send me. Okay. So they're very confident. In most cases, it's less than a second conversion from when they hit send to when it's actually locked and done. So they're very confident that they are able to eliminate the volatility. And so, that when you look at it, buyers right now, if I held, let's say I held $1 million in crypto 6 months ago, it's probably worth about 650,000 right now. Okay. From my perspective, I'm looking at it going, where can I move this money to where I don't lose it, right? If I feel the market's going down even more, well, now they have an option. They could buy real property, right? And so it gives them options instead of just transferring it from one coin to, say, a stable coin, and then paying that heavy fee to transfer it from, say, Bitcoin to USD Tether, which is tied to the dollar. It's going to be valued at $1 per coin no matter what. So if I transfer $1 million, it's going to be worth $1 million after fees, right? So those fees are high though. If it's going to cost me 8%, then I lose 8% just transferring it. Or I could take that money, transfer it through VersePay, let it flow into Escrow Spectrum, buy a property with it, and I only lost less than 1% in the fees, right? And now I have it tied up in real property, which we all know if history repeats itself, we've seen that go up and down, but it's always trajectory gone up over the last 85 years. So, it is a safer bet to put into real property. And then that property, in some cases, could make income as well, right? So, but good question.
Sourcing funds is a common thing in lending. We've always sourced funds. That's feels comfortable to me. And seasoning as well. And then I think somebody else had a question. I think I spoke over them. Somebody else?
Actually, you kind of answered my question. I wanted to know. Turn that down. Okay.
You're echoing.
Sorry for driving it.
There you go.
Speaker. I had wanted to know, that's why I wanted to ask about the seasoning requirement in the lending side. Is it just going to be the same old thing? You'll just source the paper trail? It doesn't create any additional disclosures on the lending side?
No, well, that really comes down to the lender. I can tell you this. I've talked with dozens of lenders, and some lenders are like, it's beyond us. It's still way over our head, and we can't even fathom accepting that as seasoned funds, right? As down payment funds. I can tell you that we have found a handful of lenders that we have sent buyers to that have closed transactions where buyers transferred $50,000 as earnest money and used it as their deposit and down payment. So it comes down to the lender, one. However, the process is the same, except for instead of going into a bank account and looking at that bank account of, okay, where did the funds come from and how long have they been there? Okay. They're going into basically a blockchain that wallet is stored on, or within the wallet to see when it was transferred. So the way it works within a blockchain is when something's transferred, it basically, think of this. If I was transferring a document to Mary Jane through a blockchain and it was going to land in her system at the end of it, it would blow up into millions of pieces as different code and then come back whole to her only, right? Which makes it very difficult for somebody to intercept, right? But they're able to go into this blockchain and track that funds came from one exchange or from one bank account or from an individual and was transferred. And it doesn't matter if it's been transferred 20 times across 10 different coins and 4 different wallets. By the time it landed in the wallet it's in right now, you're able to track that. So they know the ownership has belonged to that buyer individual for X amount of time, and they know the path it took to get there. So, it is 100% compliant. The presentation that I just gave you was an identical presentation that was given at the CLTA meeting for the Lending Institute about 6 months ago. When Alta was inaugurating the new president, they gave that presentation, and they've all signed off on all of that. And so, yes, we're able to be compliant when it comes to KYC and AML and everything from a Lending Institute compliancy. It really comes down to an individual lender, whether or not they want to accept it themselves. Does that make sense? So if your lender says, no, I can't accept cryptocurrency as down payment funds, I do have a handful of lenders that do.
Yeah. Okay. It makes sense to do it. It's like you said, you can track the whole trail of the paper trail. It's no different than from a.
And when I say that escrow has to be set up, when I say escrow has to
Mhm.
be set up with VersePay, is because of that, right? So the way that it works is basically all of that data is API fed right into escrow system after they've completed it. So all that data is able to be transferred to escrow. So they have it on file to show that they were able to track how long it's been held and where it came from for compliancy backgrounds. So, that's all 100% compliant. From a title perspective, we would not touch anything that is not compliant.
Right. I'm okay. I'm gonna check with my lender or our underwriter today and find out.
And if they have questions
so.
that you can't answer, I could put you in contact with the powers to be at VersePay that could answer any and all of your questions from a lending perspective.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Any other questions? Maybe people don't know how to take themselves off mute. This process is extremely easy. It is. It's no different than selling a house normally. The only difference is instead of your buyer having to give bank account statements and stuff to prove that the money's been there and how long, they're going to have to fill out 3 forms from VersePay that basically says, here's my wallet code. Here's where I sourced these funds and how long I've owned them. And they go in and verify that and track it, right? And then that'll come back and say, yep, everything's good to go. Or it'll come back and say, nope, there's an issue with, you know, these funds and how long they've been there and how they bought them, right? So once the compliancy is done, then you move forward. And let's say the buyer is putting down $100,000 as a down payment and not paying total cash. Then you put in an offer, it gets accepted. And then the buyer has already gone through the compliancy background check. The buyer then can transfer the funds through VersePay to escrow. The 100 grand would hit escrow. And from that point on, it is a normal transaction. Okay. The lender then would fund against it and everything else, the difference. If they're paying cash, it's the same exact process, except for they would wire the entire amount to escrow or through VersePay to escrow. And once the dollars hit escrow, we could close as soon as everybody's ready to close. Okay. From an escrow perspective, if an individual is paying 100% cash utilizing crypto, the same process takes place as if they were taking $1 million out of the bank account and paying cash. Okay. And transferring it down. At the end of the year, they're going to get that 1099 from escrow showing that they bought a house with cash. Okay. So the process and everything is the same from that perspective. Any other questions? I am going to, well, I tried to upload the presentation into the chat. It wouldn't let me. So I did put my contact information in the chat. My email's there. My phone number's there. The recording of this will be posted on the YouTube channel, which is also there. If you want the presentation, reach out to me direct and I'll send it to you. If not, you can get the recording straight from the YouTube channel. I would highly suggest you all go to the YouTube channel and subscribe to it. We have about 85 at this point Zoom and Learns from the last year and a half that MJ and I and Sam have done. Almost everything you can imagine is probably there, and you can get a lot of value out of it.
Thank you again for that great presentation. I feel so modern now. Now I can speak crypto and close us on it.
You know, the nice thing about crypto is you don't have to understand crypto to be able to sell real estate. You need to understand real estate. You just need to know, do you hold crypto? Yes. Okay. Do you hold it in what coin do you hold it in? Right? If it's not in the top 10 coins currently on coinmarketcap.com, which you could go there as an agent, coinmarketcap.com, open it up and say, do you hold one of these top 10 coins? And they say, no, I hold this coin. Well, they would have to transfer that coin to one of the top 10 coins. Typically, they would transfer it to one of the 3 stable coins, right? USD Tether, USDC, or BNB USD, right? They would transfer it to a stable coin. And then once it's in the stable coin, then the same process takes place, okay? But either way, they're able to track that, okay, it came from this wallet, it was held in this coin, it was held in that coin for so long, it was bought from here, then it was transferred to a stable coin, and now it's being transferred to escrow. So they're able to track all that. So you don't have to understand crypto, you just have to understand that transactions can only take place in a top 10 coin listed on CoinMarketCap. If it's not in that coin, it will need to be transferred to one of those coins. Then it's the same exact process. So really all you have to understand from an agent perspective is the process which I just gave you the process, right? You don't have to understand crypto.
Thank you again for that. Any last questions before we move on to what we have for the rest of the month? Anybody else? We do stay on after the meeting closes until you've all closed up. So that if you want to ask something, doesn't have to be about crypto. If you want to ask us anything, we do stay on after the meeting ends. We are off next week for Thanksgiving. We want to wish you all a healthy and safe, good time with your family. Coming back on the 28th, we're going to do marketing magic, and we're partially doing that because we're all great at it, and we have several things that we'd like to talk to you about. Sam, I don't know if you can still hear me. I see you there. I'm going to be talking about my favorite door knocking method that I teach to new realtors to get them out. It's called the Red Wagon Program, and I will teach you how to knock on doors without fear or being run off.